Welcome then to good afternoon. Welcome to Vendée Globe live this afternoon. It's Wednesday, 25th of January, less than 48 hours, give or take a little bit, to the first finishes of this 9th edition of the Vendée Globe. And this race could be decided on minutes. We'll go to my guests in just a few seconds. We have Mark Turner with us and also Yoann Richomme. But on the line from Sea Explorer Yacht Club de Monaco, Boris Herman. Boris, how are you?
Hi Andy, hello, I'm good. Hello Mark, hello Yoann, nice to chat to you today.
How's things, Boris? This is an incredibly exciting finish. How is it on board Yacht Club de Monaco Sea Explorer today?
Yeah, the boat is good. I mean, she likes flatter water and it is relatively decent water sea state. Strategy-wise, it's pretty interesting. That's on another page. We're going to see probably, it will be really to the finish line and maybe a few seconds after till we make the calculation who actually composes the podium, how the podium is going to be composed. No, here on board everything is good.
And how do you feel, Boris? They say it must be incredibly stressful.
Well, I'm in a black and white scheme, between stressing myself and just enjoying it. I mean, all my friends and my wife, they tell me, come on, don't let the pressure to you. It's all good. Has been an incredible race. Come to the finish, enjoy it, do your best, and then we see. I mean, there's not so much more I can do. I could try tactically to shade one or the other competitor, but then if you do the math, how it would end up, it doesn't make sense. I mean, today I have Yannick Bestaven winning on my routing scheme here, so anyway, he's too far northwest now to cover, and anyway, if I covered him, he has 6 hours, 4 hours more than I, so it's just really everyone on its own. I don't think there's really like the option for match racing here, unfortunately. It's so much fun it would be, but it's really like finding your own lane and using the shift when it comes and stuff like that.
Well, listen, that sounds fantastic, Boris. I'm going to give you one question each from Mark Turner, first of all, and then Yoann Richomme. Mark, connect with Boris.
Hey, Boris. Well done, first of all. Great race until there. Obviously, little bit to go, and perhaps the bit that counts most. So, how have you been managing your sleep? I see you haven't put your WhatsApp connection down any more than you normally do. So are you getting enough sleep? How are you managing it? It's a Figaro race finish.
Last night I was going starboard tech straight most of the night, so there was no sail change, just a regular check every hour. That was pretty decent. And today I will do a few naps, and no, I'm good. So let's see how hectic it. I mean, we will have more sail changes tomorrow and tonight, today even. So that will be a bit more physical and a bit more demanding in that sense.
Good. Now, so Yoann, a quick question for Boris. We don't want to take up too much of his time, but go ahead.
Yes, hi Boris. First of all, congrats on a great Vendée up to now. I thought that you were quite conservative in the first 2/3 of the race. I feel like you've been pushing a lot more since you rounded the horn. Is that a strategy you had? Do you have the same feeling? And good luck for the end of the race.
Yeah, thank you, Yoann. In the south, the sea state, I didn't really find the right mode, balance, or angle to the waves quite often. It's really sometimes just like, 5 degrees higher, and then the boat goes over 2/3 of the waves rather than plowing into them. And all the time I had this struggle there. So, and then there were, of course, the days where I was careful a little bit, but no, I'm not really pushing at the moment. I'm not even having my biggest sails up yet, and the boat is just liking the sea state better here in the entire Atlantic.
And Boris, do you have a clearer view of the weather situation into the finish now? You were saying before the weather models were not really adding up.
Still not so much I can tell you, Andy. It's one pass goes past Cap Finisterre, and another pass goes dead north from here and then east, which I thought yesterday would be the one and only option for me at least. But since then I play a little bit more in between the two. You know, I think the last 20 or 18 hours, they will be really important what exactly the wind direction is, because if you come from the northeast and you are too lifted and you can't lay the finish and you start driving downwind, someone who's coming from Cap Finisterre is beating you big time. But if the person coming from Cap Finisterre has to drive downwind, then the guys from the northwest beat you. So it will be such an amazing finish, I expect, and it will be down to the last degree of wind angle on that Wednesday afternoon, and it is so hard to predict even with the ensemble models. I don't really can make a clue out of it today, so I will play it a little bit by ear.
Good, Boris. Anyway, thank you so much for joining us at this stressful time, and you're doing a great job, and we're waiting for you in Les Sables d'Olonne, and all the best.
Thank you. Ciao, ciao. Andy, Mark, Yoann, good to talk to you. Bye-bye.
So there we go, Boris Herrmann live on board Yacht Club de Monaco, or Sea Explorer Yacht Club de Monaco, and he's in third place just now, and he's lost a few little miles this morning. Now let's go briefly to Yoann Richomme. Yoann, Boris talking about the last miles into the finish could be critical.
Yes, I think he's right. First of all, I have to say that I'm really impressed with the level of analysis they have on the boats and how wise they are. You know, they really know what's going on with the weather and stuff, and they don't make that many mistakes in their decisions, and I'm really impressed with that. What Boris was saying is, yes, there's a high pressure ridge across the Bay of Biscay, pretty much from Tuesday night till Wednesday, and that is not clear what the timing of it is and how soon it will be pushed out of the way by the next low pressure. So he's right, there is still an option either to come from the north or to come from Cap Finisterre in Spain. And that will be decided, I reckon, by tonight, I hope. And if not, we'll have maybe different options, which would be nice as well.
So who do you see coming in first? You still believe Charlie should be first across the line?
I believe so. Looking at the routing from the last ranking we have, the last position report, he's meant to be winning by 54 minutes. So, you know, that's as close as it gets. I don't think that you can call that, you know, a real difference in the two routes between Louis and Charlie. It's really close, and it's going to be down to maybe the last jibes or something. And it's yeah, that's an incredible finish.
And a few words about the rest of the fleet. I mean, Damien Sagan, who you're close to, still sailing a fantastic race.
Yes, Damien is fighting with Giancarlo. He kind of went past him in the last 24 hours. He's going to try and keep him behind, I reckon. That's pretty much all he's got to play for. The only thing he can do is sail really well to put as much time in between him and Jean, who's got a 16-hour bonification. And yeah, they've all got their own strategy, but I don't feel like there is too much match racing going on, just as Boris has said.
Good. Now listen, let's have a quick look at my side of the meteo, and we'll come back to you in just a second, Yoann. So this is the meteo as we see it just now. First of all, looking at the South Atlantic very briefly, what we're loving about the race all the way through is everybody does have to seem to have some form of competition, boats to race against, even at this stage, this late in the race. First of all, down at Cape Horn, well, Alexia Barry and Ari Husela went round yesterday night or early this morning. Alexia here and Ari here just very close together. I think they went round about three hours apart, something like that. So they're coming round, they're coming into lighter breezes, 15, 20 knots from the northwest, and they should get a good run up to the Falklands. Then further up in this up into the St. Helena high pressure system here. It's quite elongated, but the little group of three here in, we have Miranda Merrin and Clement Giroux, and just in this little group here, they've got very light conditions getting across the high pressure system, but they should get it through into the trades in due course. And then this group up here, well, there's about 300 miles between Arnaud Boissé at the front and Didac Costa. They're all into the trade winds. It's very much a speed race for them. Speed and power, the advantage to the foiling boats in that group, but everybody going quite well. And then a little bit further up, just at the doldrums, well, you see Roman Atanasio just trying to get out of the doldrums, and Jeremy Bayou just ahead. So that's the situation in the South Atlantic, but this is the key moments of this 9th edition of the Vendée Globe. And the big problem we're getting from all the sailors and all from our meteo experts just now is that the weather models are really conflicting. There's no clear, concise idea of the exact timings, and so it's a little bit confusing, bit of a headache for the leaders just now, how to interpret the weather models. But certainly what we are seeing is that the low pressure system at the back of the fleet coming in for them is slower than we anticipated, and more lighter breezes coming in, particularly towards the finish. Two routes essentially going to the north, which we see with the Yannick Bestaven, or a more direct route going closer to Cape Finisterre on this ridge here. Transition zone could be the potential little bit of a problem for them. But let's run the animation and see how it goes. So this is Monday just now, watching Charlie Dallin closest to Cap Finisterre, Yannick Bestaven out here with Thomas Rion. So quite light conditions coming in, 12, 15 knots only, and then the low coming in at the back, and we're definitely seeing some compression. But it's certainly, when if you look at that, when they get into Les Sables d'Olonne, just hours, possibly minutes between the leaders, and hopefully Yoann Richomme will give us a little bit more detail. Yoann.
Yeah, I'm sorry, I don't have the video return, so I don't know what you showed. Yeah, it's going to be hard for me to explain.
But Yoann, it's looking extremely close, but some compression with the group behind coming in as well, saving their time by the looks of things.
Yeah, that's definitely what we're aiming to is this fleet compressing because of the high pressure ridge in Biscay, and that's going to help the boats who have gone time bonifications, and this is going to be a very different race now. Racing with for a ranking that is going to be changed by these timings.
Okay. Now listen, we have questions from the internet for today, and unfortunately you're the lucky victim. For today's question is about the foils in the America's Cup class just now. Will the foils in the America's Cup class just now, do you think they will trickle down into the IMOCA class? Is there a crossover in the future? And that's from Schneider.
Well, there could be a few good ideas for sure, and they've got huge R&D facilities, and they put a lot of thoughts and energy into their boats. The only difference I can see is that the IMOCAs don't have what we call elevators or foils on the rudder that help them fully lift out of the water. So the back of the IMOCA is always touching the water, so that's the only difference, but we never know. There could be some interesting things that are trickling down in the next few years.
Good. So thank you so much for joining us, Yoann. Hopefully we'll see you here in the finish, and I think we owe you a little bottle of whiskey somewhere along the lines.
I remember that, yes. Yeah, I'll see you down there.
Good. That's a little bet in the rugby back in the day. Anyway, that's Yoann Richomme. Let's look at the rankings this midday, and it is Charlie Dallin on top by just 20 miles from Louis Burton. In terms of boat speeds, well, Louis Burton a little bit quicker, 19.3 knots on his speed gun. Boris Herrmann doing 19.9. He's 74 miles behind the leader. And a bigger gap now to Thomas Riong. Riong doing 18.2. Yannick Bestaven in fifth. He's now 227 miles behind the leader. Remember, he has 10 hours and 15 minutes of time bonus. So let's call that 200 miles maximum. In terms of distance or in terms of time relative to Charlie Dallin. That would be his, that'd be Dallin's safe limit, shall I call it. So Yannick Bestaven in fifth, Damien Seguin 314 miles behind the leader in sixth. Giancarlo Padotti, he's ahead of, he's in seventh, and so 75 miles roughly between Seguin and Padotti. Jean Le Cam's in eighth, he's now 532 miles behind the lead. He has 16 hours and 15 minutes of bonification, of recompense. Benjamin Dutroux in ninth, Maxime Sorel in 10th, and then just running down, Clarisse Kremers in 12th, doing 14 knots. She's in the trade winds, and just Roman Atanasio. Well, good news for Roman is he is now moving once again. Remember, he spent 48 hours or more in the doldrums. He's doing 10 knots just now, as is Jeremy Bayou. Jeremy Bayou just about 200 miles behind, give or take, and catching slowly. And then further down the table, Alan Rura in 16th. Kojiro Shiraishi, our Japanese skipper, in 18th. A really good race going on in the South Atlantic with them. Pip Hare doing 11 knots in 19th. Didac Costa about 150 miles behind Pip just now, all in the same group. And then on the third page, Miranda Merrin, 22nd. Alexia Barrier came round Cape Horn yesterday night, as did Ari Husela, 25th, doing 7.7 knots after Cape Horn. And we have Ari in just a few moments. So let's join Mark Turner. Now, Mark was the founder of Offshore Challenges and had a long history with this race. What are you thinking of this race, Mark? You could never have engineered a finish like this, could you, in your wildest dreams?
Hey, but like the last Volvo, we didn't engineer anything in finishes like that. I think that you could probably rename this race the Elastic Globe, because I'm not sure any of the editions so far have had so many moments of compression. And as Christophe Auguin said on the French program earlier, it's probably exceptional in that sense. I don't think there's probably not much more to it than an incredible set of weather circumstances. But that's fantastic. That's created a finish that a race organizer would only dream of. So,
do you have any favourites? Any contacts in the top group?
Well, I got quite a few touch points. I mean, and I think probably I followed this one closer than the last couple, actually. Just I do some work behind the scenes for Mere Concept, so the team, Francois Gabar's team, that managed Charlie Dallin. So obviously very, very happy to see Charlie out in the front. I think he's probably raced a near perfect race. So let's see what happens at the end. Boris, I'm on Boris's WhatsApp group and a little bit of help with him early on for money, and and they're quite extraordinary. Actually, to be where Boris is on the race course, and to have sent so many WhatsApp messages on the way around, he wins the communication prize for me, hands down, to be honest, and really engaging and honest and open. So, he's a real favourite for me in it. But there's, lots of touch points. Pip Hare, we were in touch with Pip many years ago when she was starting out on her dream, as it were, and long time ago. And the persistence, fantastic to get to the start. But then she raced, I think, an incredible Southern Ocean. She was pushing the boat really hard in that old boat. So I've, immense respect for her. And probably my final one, Jeremy Bayou, who, don't talk too much about it, but psychologically to have done what Jeremy has done, to gone back, started again, work his way back through the fleet, catch up thousands of miles, as you'd expect with him and his boat. But just psychologically for him to have nonetheless done this tour, I think is, it's obviously not there yet, but, I'm really, really, I think, hat off to him for persistence and keeping it going. But yeah, it's a race with so many different people in. We've got a couple of boats in there that we built. Kingfisher with Didac Costa, and also Benjamin Dutroux with Omia, which was the original BT in 2008. So lots of touch points, lots of great stories. What an incredible Vendée Globe, but probably a good time for everybody who's had to be sat at home more than they would like to have done.
Indeed, Mark, I'll come back to you in just 1 second. We're going to look at Yannick Bestaven, very much in the match on board Maitre Coq, a little bit further behind, but he has the time bonus, and this was Yannick this morning.
Ouais, moi j'évite de penser à l'arrivée pour l'instant, comme ça me permet de me concentrer sur la navigation et sur ce que j'ai à faire, et puis puis voilà, j'ai du mal à avoir cette notion de durée, de temps qui reste plus que 2 jours pour arriver, quoi. Donc voilà, je navigue comme je l'ai fait pendant tout le Vendée, sans me préoccuper du temps qui reste avant la ligne d'arrivée, quoi. Bah, c'est sûr que moi j'ai pris une route nord où je suis allé chercher des fonds dépressionnaires assez forts, parce que j'ai eu des grains à 35 nœuds et plus. Et donc voilà, donc j'ai récolté un peu ce que je suis allé chercher. Donc c'est vrai que quand 35 nœuds arrive, c'est un peu trop tard pour réduire, donc j'ai abatté un peu, puis ça a passé. Les réparations d'enrouleurs tiennent bien. L'enrouleur de ressort que j'ai installé, donc tout va bien, c'est bien d'avoir du vent et de pouvoir attaquer, et voilà, content.
Un rouleur t'a permis de récupérer des voiles en plus, d'avoir un peu une garde-robe un peu plus fournie?
Ouais, ben je peux me servir de mes voiles creuses de portant, parce que le tambour est mort et mon fractionné que j'ai plus, donc j'essaye de faire au minimum, mis en place un peu tout l'accastillage qui avait un peu dégagé suite à la tempête du Cap Horn. Donc ça va, pour faire du portant, c'est bien, pour jusqu'à l'arrivée, ça m'handicape pas trop, quoi. Les fichiers sont pas forcément d'accord, mais c'est ce qui semble se dessiner. J'ai l'impression que je vais revenir avec de l'air, avec le deuxième front, que j'ai touché un peu plus tôt que les autres, parce que je suis un peu plus derrière. Donc ça pourrait être à mon avantage, d'ici les Sables d'Olonne. Après, tout sera une question de timing et d'écart, quoi.
So that's Yannick Besteven on board Matricock. We also had Louis Burton this morning, and this is Louis.
Un peu de fatigue, manque un peu sur la fin des réserves de nourriture, la fin des réserves d'eau, etc. Donc ça donne envie d'arriver, mais par contre beaucoup d'excitation sur la régate avec les bateaux qui sont autour, et donc c'est plus désagrément, j'essaie d'aller le plus possible pour m'en sortir le mieux possible.
T'es pas allé hyper vite cette nuit? T'avais une mer un peu traître?
Ouais, très difficile sur ce bord là où j'étais, je sais pas pour les autres, mais c'est compliqué. Le bateau remet à chaque vague à peu près, donc à un moment donné j'ai démarré à l'attaque et puis ça partait au tas, donc à un moment donné tu lèves le pied, surtout que les voiles commencent à être fatiguées, tu vois, donc faut éviter de partir au tas, faut éviter de faire fatiguer les voiles et tout, donc j'ai essayé de trouver un compromis qui soulage le bateau et qui fasse qu'on avance.
Il y a beaucoup de routages qui donnent une régate au contact jusqu'aux dernières heures de ce Vendée Globe. C'est prodigieux.
Ouais, c'est intéressant, c'est sûr. Après, on n'est pas dans le meilleur état, je pense, physique pour s'envoyer une régate de taré sur des bateaux de 18 mètres, tu vois, forcément maintenant. Et c'est ce qui rend le truc encore plus génial et encore plus passionnant, mais il va falloir s'arracher. Il faut essayer de bien dormir. Moi, ça a été mon cas là, cette nuit, du coup, j'en ai profité pour bien me reposer et puis j'attaque. Et je pense que ça va, oui, ça va. Je suis sûr que le nombre d'empannages qu'il y a à faire, les bords positifs, ceux qui le sont un peu moins, etc., il peut se passer encore plein de choses qui s'est ouvert jusqu'à l'arrivée. En fait.
So there we go, Louis Burton. Mark, you're an expert on the mediatisation of sport, and we know that, for example, Alex Thompson and more recently Boris was talking about having basically always-on vision of the on board the boat, so we can always see what's happening. What's your feeling for this Vendée Globe?
I think there's been some good evolutions. I think it's evolution rather than revolution in this Vendée. I think what's been interesting. And I don't have the statistics to back this up, but it does appear that a lot larger part of the fleet, are sending back better content, are more available to do, video conference and things. And in the past, perhaps it's only been a small number of the skippers that have really embraced that. Obviously Alex being one of them. So I think it's been a lot more open. We've seen a lot more of the race, perhaps. I think there's other, things like WhatsApp, which is super basic, but has opened up for those that have wanted to embrace it, really opened up a lot of more content coming back from the boats. More at the end of the day, you know, how interesting the story is about how much emotion is shared. And perhaps in the past, you know, to make a lot more effort to be able to share, and so only a few of the skippers really did. You know, I was lucky to work with some of those people, and now I think it's so much easier that even the more camera shy, you know, you see a little bit more of them. But again, you've still got this spread of personalities, you know, clinical, who will do the minimum of communication in some ways because the focus is on the race. Then others who are able to race really hard, but actually equally share at the same time. You know, Boris is obviously one of those, and that's super impressive, and that's very good and important for the sport, that the technology is allowing more and more of the sharing of what's going on. Some skippers will choose not to share, and that's their choice, and that's fine as long as the, you know, people that back them are okay with that.
But the skippers should always have some time to themselves, or can we have them online all the time?
Well, I think even if you had a boat fully, you know, connected 24/7, the skippers will have plenty of time in some ways themselves. I mean, I don't think you're going to have a camera, a GoPro, you know, stuck out from a head cam back at your face the whole time or something. So, you know, the skipper, everybody's different and everybody communicates differently. I'm not sure that having, you know, 24/7 on will be as fascinating as perhaps some people always, you know, hope it will be.
Really?
So I think it can be interesting for some skippers, and you know, that'll be a choice. The best and biggest moments of Vendée Globes are 30-second, 1-minute clip, whether it's live or recorded, of someone just sharing their emotion, happiness or kind of just devastation about something that's gone wrong. So it always still comes down to the sharing, whether you're connected 24/7 or not.
Absolutely, Mark. So nice to talk with you, and hopefully we'll see you sometime over this year, and all the best to you and your family.
Thanks.
So it's Mark Turner, and talking about sharing emotions. Well, we had Ari Hosela going round Cape Horn this morning, or yesterday evening, and we're going to catch up with him. Join us tomorrow for Vendée Live here. We will be having hopefully Ryan Braymeyer on the stage with us as the teams start to arrive here in Les Sables d'Olonne. Ryan should be joining us, and perhaps Pierre Casaraghi. We're just trying to negotiate that one just now. So any questions for them, post them on Facebook, Twitter or Instagram. Join us tomorrow, and we're leaving you with Ari Hosela, super happy of course at Cape Horn.
It was so magic moment. It was so beautiful moment. I was so lucky. I had to do those 2 tries, and I was a bit like it wasn't so happy situation when I noticed that the wind came back and I was on the wrong position, and I had to make 2 tries before I get to pass Cape Horn. But that was worth of all that work and pain, because then when I ended up there was just sunset and the light was so nice, so beautiful, and the whole scenery was amazing. And then I contacted the lighthouse with that moment for the whole Atlantic.